It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
That isn't what it meant.
Well, what did it mean then? Explain.
It meant that it's indicative of low-resolution thinking.
And then they have cans of soup. Soup. And they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick. It's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? And then when they get caught, they say, no, this is soup from my family. They're so innocent. This is soup from my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup, and they lay it on the ground, and the anarchists take it, and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police. And if it hits you, that's worse than a brick because it's got force. It's the perfect size. It's like made perfect. And when they get caught, they say, no, this is just soup for my family. And then the media says, this is just soup. These people are very, very innocent. They're innocent people.
At the same time, the vaccine is one of the greatest achievements of mankind.
Early in the morning, they went to the table with the black robe, the black shield, and they pulled out the votes.
It's not that they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone. Make sure the kids hear words.
Sam, if I could just get this sentence out. We can talk about Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow, and I still believe in force the vote. 15 kids tomorrow.
Months after his alleged meeting with the Burmese executives. So this Burmese, they say, pronounce it Burmese, a real beautiful company.
Retweet. That was an opinion of somebody, and that was a retweet. I'll put it out there. People can decide for themselves. I don't take a position. You're not like some retweet. That was an opinion of somebody, and that was a retweet. I'll put it out there. People can decide for themselves. I don't take a position.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I try to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
Let's go, Brandon. I agree.
Should we have done that sooner?
We are doing it.
But should we have done it sooner?
We are doing it.
Really, how many people do that? You mean they moved out and then they said, "Ah, the hell with it, I'll move back in." You know, it doesn't sound like a very normal. You mean they moved out, and what, they missed it so much that they wanted to move back in? Yeah, it's like, it's crazy.
Well, and
there was no response. There was no response. There was no response. There was no response. They didn't have one for that. No, it's very sad. Very sad. There was no response. Was no response. Was no response. Was no response. Well, you have to understand, the first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, they were chanting pigs in a blanket, talking about police. Pigs, talking about our police. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon.
In case you don't know, and you haven't seen the latest polls, the American people hold the President of the United States in contempt. They hold this institution in contempt. They hold the Republican Party in contempt. They hold the Democratic Party in contempt. They think that maybe, given all of the crises facing this country, it's about time that there was some bold leadership here.
Everybody comes in your grandmother year. They weren't coming because they couldn't get in. They're coming all over the place. They weren't coming because they couldn't get in. Once they think they can get in, they're coming, and they are coming at levels that you haven't even seen yet. Everybody comes in your grandmother. Everybody comes in your grandmother. Everybody comes in your grandmother. Everybody comes in your grandmother.
The reason the market is doing what it's doing is people are sitting at home getting the checks from the government, okay? And this fair share is a bullshit concept. It's just a way of attacking wealthy people.
No, seriously, hot sauce. I've been eating a lot of hot sauce, a lot of raw peppers.
Hello, users! Got a show for y'all today. I'm doing a program. And so, oh, fuck. Oh, I spilled fucking pill dust all over my fucking coffee-stained. Fuck, folks. Fuck. Got a show going on, doing a show today, folks. We're doing a show. Got a show, programmatic experience, an experimental program going on. This is I am program on this show. I'm program. And so I'm doing a program, not to be confused with a pogrom, which is spelled very similarly, pronounced very similarly, but not the same thing. In fact, they're very far away from each other. But anyway, speaking of very far away, I'm probably very far away from you, folks. I don't think people live near me. I mean, there's a couple people that I know that live near me. I don't know if they know that they live near me, but I know where they are, and I'm tracking your every movement as well. So we're doing a show, got a show going on, doing a program today. I'm pro-gram, not to be confused with Lindsey Graham. In that capacity, I'm anti-gram. As well with the graham cracker. I mean, who needs all that sugar? Who needs all those carbohydrates? Let's be honest. You don't need that graham cracker, motherfucker. So I'm anti-gram. Unless we're talking about this show, in which case I am pro-gram, as I'm doing a program today. Doing a show, got a show going on, and it's happening, so. Alrighty, alright. Do I have coffee stains on my lips? Because if not, about to get some. Alright, folks, so we got a show to do today. Got a show going on, folks. I would like to say tomorrow is the last day of the month. For those of you that don't know I pick up a lot of viewers here. I'm picking them up and I'm putting them down. Just kidding, I can't pick you up because I can't even open a pickle jar, so I'm not going to pick anybody up. I can pick my dog up, and he's like 60 pounds. So unless you're 60 pounds, and I can barely pick him up. Sometimes when I pick him up, he licks me, and then I almost drop him because it's very scary. I can't do it. But anyway, so I'm not going to pick you up, but I know that I pick up some people without picking them up physically, but they enter the universe, the verse, the stratosphere of Above It All and other adjacent Andrea Rovenski projects. And a cable just fell on my foot, and I almost freaked out. So anyway, folks, tomorrow is the last day of the month. For those of you that don't know, once again, because I'm picking up a lot of viewers, that's how I fell off into that other thing. But anyway, so if you don't know, you might not know, I do another project called A Doom a Day. I try to upload one Doom speedrun every day. Sometimes, but anyway, so doing one every day at the end of the month. Every month, what I'm going to do is a top 10 runs of the month. So that is tomorrow. So tomorrow I will be doing a Doom stream commentary, top 10 of my favorite speedruns that I uploaded this month. And so that will be taking place tomorrow at 1 p.m. EST, or maybe EDT. I don't know. They're kind of switching back and forth. I can't remember that fucking shit. But anyway, so it could be EDT, could be EST, whatever time it is on the eastern seaboard of the United States of America and other places that aren't necessarily on the eastern seaboard but are close enough. That will be when I will stream tomorrow. I'll be doing a Doom stream tomorrow, folks. That is to say, if there is a nuclear apocalypse by that time, who knows? I'll be getting into that very soon. Very soon. And so, we could all be dead by tomorrow at 1 p.m. So we'll see. In approximately 24 hours and 47 minutes, I'll be doing that. But in 22 hours or 21 hours and however many, I will be doing Above It All tomorrow, 10 a.m. folks. It's happening. So there you go. Okay, so I have no idea what the hell you're even saying, but I'm glad you're here with us. So Jeff Tist. Ben is going to take phone calls at 12:30 apparently on the call-in app he streams from. How does that work? Please use UTC. I might. I'm a time zone abolitionist, so maybe someday I'll start just using UTC. But also, most of my viewers are in the EST, also known as EDT. I don't know what the fuck the difference is. I know one is when you're in daylight savings time. What the fuck does it mean to be in daylight savings time? What the fuck? How do you go inside of what? The time changes. I don't know. But anyway, so there's EST, there's EDT, there's there's a lot of these. Folks, Elden Ring came out. I know we got a lot of gamers in the stream. Got some gamers here. Elden Ring came out yesterday. I've been celebrating by finally booting up Dark Souls 2. That's right, folks. I am a Dark Souls speedrunner. For those of you that don't know, I am a professional speedrunner of Dark Souls. The first one, I've only played the first one. So everyone's talking about Elden Ring, and I figure, well, why play Elden Ring when I could play Dark Souls 2, a game I've never really played before, even though I bought it on launch day, but I don't play new games because I get bored and I'm stupid. So I'm celebrating the release of Elden Ring by playing Dark Souls 2, folks. So I'm trying to catch up. Hopefully I'll be all caught up. Maybe in 10 years I'll be at the latest game. I don't even know, there's so many different series now. First it was it was just some souls, and now there's now we're giving birth now. Now we're putting on jewelry. I don't know what FromSoft is doing. All I know is I'm on Dark Souls 2. Apparently you have to download the app if you want to call into the show. If someone wants to call into Ben Burgess's show, that would be great. But I'm doing a show right now. So I mean, shout outs to his show. I'm hoping the best for his show. But I don't have a call-in app. I've heard about this call-in thing. Should I open up a side hustle on call-in? I don't know. Maybe. Humans want to control everything. Humans will never control my Doom speedrun world records. That is factual. Ben is going to... Okay, I already read that. But anyway, if you, I don't know, like, I don't want to download a fucking app. I mean, like, first of all, I'm on drugs. Second of all, like, I'm on drugs. Third of all, I'm doing a show. And then fourth of all, I don't want to download a fucking app. I don't know, like, that's weird. But anyway, I've heard about this call-in thing. I just use Discord. So if anyone wants to call into the show, I just use Discord. But anyway, we're going to be talking about Discord today, and we're not going to be talking about the program Discord. We're going to be talking about the fact that people are trying to blow each other up in the world kind of Discord. It's not good. So we got some Discord here, sewing some Discord. I have just learned to sew, and I decided to start sewing, and I started off with some Discord that I've been sewing. Folks, they announced a new Pokemon game, apparently. I found out because I clicked on the trending topic Weed Cat on Twitter.com. I saw that Weed Cat was trending. I like weed. I prefer dogs, to be honest with you, but I mean, cats are okay. So I click on Weed Cat, and I find out that Pokemon added a cat that has a marijuana leaf on it. So I may be getting back into Pokemon. I haven't played Pokemon since Soul Silver. It's a long time ago now. But anyway, so they're bringing marijuana into Pokemon. And so I found out by Weed Cat trending online, folks. But anyway, I will not be playing the new Pokemon because I don't support Nintendo. All my homies hate Nintendo, let's be real. So we got, we're doing a show here today. Folks, we've been doing these kind of shows for a while. For a couple of days, we've been doing these shows where things are all so fucking serious. People are dropping bombs, kids are being murdered, there's like fucking people threatening nuclear war. I'm gonna get into that in a second here, but I'm trying to produce an experience here that doesn't make you want to kill yourself because, Vladimir Putin's going to kill you in a couple days. So why waste the time? Let's just live a little. But anyway, cats are more social than dogs? Yeah, that would make a lot of sense because I'm antisocial and I love my dog. So fuck cats. All my homies hate cats. And dogs for the win. FTW. 69-420. So we got a show going on, doing a show. So I'm doing this show. This is good. I'm doing this show. So let's start off with something decent here. Let's do this. How come it's introvert and not outrovert? How come it's extrovert? Is that what it is? Extrovert? I don't know what the opposite one is. Introvert. I don't know, but I'm just wondering why there's no outrovert. Just like how there's an introduction, there's no outroduction. You know what I mean? Like language. What's going on with that? At least I have weed for the end of the world. I am stocked the fuck up. Let me tell you. I've got like a 3-month weed stash. Because I live in a, it's where I'm at currently, inside the Faraday cage. It is legal here. So, we in fact, I'm even go as far as to say that this Faraday cage has decriminalized all sorts of drugs. But anyway, doing a show, extra. We got a show going on. So, Ukrainians have been told by their defense minister to produce Molotov cocktails, and there's a report on the television from Sky News covering this, and I just wanted to share this with you because this is very interesting.
Perhaps you were thinking originally. There are hundreds and hundreds of people here in Dnipro who have come to the center of town, and they are in the process here in this section of making Molotov cocktails. You see them, they're taking styrofoam, they've sort of grated the styrofoam, and they're now putting it into the bottles. The styrofoam works to make the Molotov cocktail sticky, to help it stick to vehicles, to other targets as well. You can see them grating it. And they're making it according to a recipe that has been distributed by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. Really.
So there you go. That's Sky News. Giving us a quick how-to on making Molotov cocktails. So I'm just saying, this is information Like that, hey, guerrilla warfare, like these are tips that you can use at home. If we ever have the police occupation in this country that we saw in the year 2020, I mean, again, I'm just throwing things out there. I'm not recommending anything, but, it's very interesting to see this kind of stuff on television. And, pay attention because it could come in handy later. That's all I'm saying. Ukrainians are defending themselves against an imperial aggressor and, in my opinion, must be supported in this moment. So solidarity with the Ukrainian people. Okay, so I got 2 layers on, folks. I got 2 layers on. Look at this. Check this out. I got 2 layers on. Look at that purple. I got a purple layer. Look at that. Look at my hands. Why are my hands fucking so red? My fingertips are like fucking red. What is that? Did you see that? Like, I just noticed that. I guess it's because I was bending them and such. That's crazy. You ever just like look at your body and go like, oh God? Like, I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe that's just like, the trans thing. But it's like sometimes I just look at myself and I'm just like, oh my God, what the fuck? Like, there's like this giant, there's this giant thing that like flops out and like I can grab things with them. Like, look at this. Like, I could just hold my phone, like, with this giant, like, thing that just pops out of my, like, my face, I mean, it doesn't pop out of my face. I mean, I can see my face, but, it, like, it's just, like, when you're looking, right? Like, it's just like, whoa, what the hell? And then you can, like, move things in the environment. It's crazy. But anyway, speaking of being crazy, I am not crazy. I'm a very sane individual. Hopefully y'all are enjoying the program today. And so, doing a show here today. Got a show going on. Got a show, doing a show, and, reporting the breaking news of the day. So, Vladimir Putin, the world's biggest bitch. I guess, he's the smallest bitch in stature, and size, and IQ. But the world's biggest bitch and the world's cryingest baby, Vladimir Putin, is threatening nuclear war again for the second time within a week. And so we already have a speech where, again, I'm just going to play the speech here. It's not translated directly on here, but we have a translation in the tweet. You can see, like, the 2 generals here, they're like, they don't want to be there. Like, like imagine, like, in that episode of SpongeBob where you have Squidward, the wearing the "I really wish I weren't here right now" button. Like, both of these, generals, they really wish they weren't there right now, but they are. So what Putin is saying here is Western countries aren't only taking unfriendly economic sanctions against our country, but leaders of major NATO countries are making aggressive statements about our country. So I ordered to move Russia's deterrence forces to a special regime of duty. What that means, he is putting the nuclear deterrent force on high alert. There's no such thing as nuclear deterrence. What that means is he's basically scrambling the people to press the nuke button. Now, a lot of people say that, he's bluffing. I don't really know what that means. Like, the same people that are telling you that Putin's bluffing about blowing up the world with nuclear weapons, most of those people are the ones saying he wouldn't invade Ukraine at all. So to me, this is a little scary. This is the big news of the day. Everyone's talking about this. But, again, nuclear bombs being used, not good. Really bad, actually. I heard reports that, Putin is not very happy with the way that the invasion of Ukraine is going on. He, probably expected it to go a little bit better. But again, Ukrainian civilians and the Ukrainian military are putting up one hell of a fight. They are repelling forces pretty well. And the Russian, plan of controlling Kyiv by the end of the weekend is not going to probably end up happening. And so because of that, I assume he's probably escalating once again in the threats. Again, he threatened military intervention in Finland and Sweden if they, said anything about joining NATO. Again, Ukraine didn't join NATO and Russia invaded Ukraine. So, I don't know. Like, I would probably learn from that lesson. But again, Putin is basically going on a giant temper tantrum. And we need to understand that, like, you know, this is one of the major problems with, 1, war, 2, like, nukes, right? Like, why do nukes even exist? 3, like, countries, right? Like giant countries, superpowers, like what? Like, 4, world leaders. Like, why does one person get to dictate what the military does? Why does one person get to dictate on whether or not to use nuclear weapons? Like, you'd think there, you know, should be like some sort of, you know, but, you know, again, our world, we are not, contrary to popular belief, at the end of history, we are a very stupid, dumb fuck, species, and just because we've developed the internet, doesn't mean that we are any smarter than people might have thought. We are still, in the height of empire, as far as civilization is concerned. Only 100 years ago, I guess maybe a little over 100 years ago at this point, Russia still had czars and fucking emperors, motherfucker. And that's kind of what Putin is going for. He wants to be the next czar. He wants to be like the first like emperor of Russia in this new age. That's what he's going for. And in my opinion, I don't, we're all just here commenting on the end of the world as it happens, right? So, but anyway, you can tell that these two people, I mean, like, just looking at their face, they have the "I really wish I wasn't here right now" button on. And so, again, threatening nuclear weapons, scrambling the nuclear, like, weapons teams, not good. Like, I'm just, like, it's just not good. So, again, I don't know. It's looking pretty rough here. It's looking pretty rough. And not in, like, the good dog way. Hello, Bodan. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past Putin to destroy the world, right? It's like the murder-suicide phenomenon, right? Okay, so there are people out there, right? Okay, so there's people out there that will, like, kill their wives, right, and their kids, and then kill themselves. What? Like, okay, if you are going to kill yourself, if you've already decided I'm going to end my life, why are you going to end other people's lives? Like, you are going to die, no matter what. You are dead, right? So if you're going to die, I might as well skip a couple steps and just go right there. I mean, you're going to die anyway, right? So, but people do it. They commit murder-suicides, right? So as far as I'm concerned, I have no reason to believe that Putin would not want, like, if he feels like, let's say something happens and he feels like, he's going to die. Like, let's say he feels like, either his people overthrow him or, like, there's going to be, like, all-out World War III. Why not press the button? You're gonna die anyway. I mean, he's getting old. Like, what if Putin got, like, like a brain disease or something in the last couple of years, right? We don't really know that. We don't really, like, this guy's fucking old. Like, what if he's, like, going through, like, dementia? Like, maybe he still thinks it's, like, the Soviet Union, and he's like, I was trying to go to the Ukraine and grab a fucking cola, but then they told me that it's not called the Ukraine anymore. What's the deal? Like, I don't know. This guy could be demented. This guy's crazy, and he's got a fucking nuclear button. And so it's fucked up, and it's Looney Tunes, and And again, why do we construct our society where we got, like, one, like, bald loser in control of the fucking fate of the planet? That's a little weird. I'm just, and no offense to the bald people in the world, no offense to the losers of the world, but, like, again, you should be having no one should be having a nuclear button. But if there is a nuclear button, it should be at least be, like, guarded by a council of some sort, like a group of people. Like, I don't know, man. This shit's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know what to tell you. I agree, Bodan. We're fucked. I am a pessimist. I'm in full-scale pessimism mode. Russian forces have been attacking civilians since, I think, the first day of the invasion. I mean, we saw them strike down an apartment complex, I believe. Like, wasn't it Thursday? Yeah, like, I mean, they've been, like, I don't know, he might have just told them to target civilians more explicitly, but either way, I mean, war crimes have been committed for sure. All right, folks. You brought him up. I didn't bring him up. But let's bring him up. Okay, so Comrade Jackson Hinkle he's not having a great time right now staying consistent in regards to what's going on with Russia's imperialist invasion of a sovereign country. Shout outs to the Wasting Times on Twitter. They made a compilation of Jackson Hinkle's statements from a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and a day ago, and they don't really line up. There's a little bit, let's just say Putin would be proud. Let's just put it that way. So let's watch.
When did I ever say Russia would never invade Ukraine? And Russia's not going to invade Ukraine.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Like the first 5 seconds. I'm sorry.
When did I ever say Russia would never invade Ukraine? And Russia's not going to invade Ukraine. We haven't been incorrect about anything we've said surrounding Russia and Ukraine this entire time. We have not been incorrect. Russia does not want to invade Ukraine. Russia's not going to invade Ukraine. I never said that that's not going to happen. This Ukraine says they're not going to invade. Russia says they're not going to invade. It's the State Department conspiracy theory. We never said that there was never going to be an invasion. And anyone who says that is just, again, lying. Germany and France have spoken out against these lies that Russia's going to invade Ukraine. But what I'm saying is, I never said that that's not going to happen. Claiming that Russia is going to invade, that's not going to happen. We haven't been incorrect.
Only the really,
context and analysis.
I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
Says Russia,
only the
we aren't going to invade Ukraine.
I hate to say
Russia
this,
isn't going
but
to
those
invade.
with the lowest
The
IQ.
media,
Only
they say
the
war is
really.
imminent in Ukraine.
I hate to say this,
war
but
is
those
imminent
with the
on
lowest
Ukraine,
IQ.
and get them fighting.
So again, as we can tell here, now again, if you thought Russia wasn't going to invade, okay, a lot of people in the media, especially left media, were very skeptical, and probably, let's be honest, given the United States' track record on this kind of stuff, the skepticism of whether or not they were telling the truth in regards to Russia invading Ukraine, I get it, I understand, right? But it's a whole other step for you to say this, oh, they're not going to invade for weeks and weeks and weeks on end, and then after they invade to say, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. What? I didn't say they were going to invade.
So, yes, this is a base take. Yes, we should give credit where credit is due. Yes, we should not shit on Candace Owens for having a good take. This is factually correct. We never said that there was never going to be an invasion. I showed you this clip a few days ago, saying Putin wants peace, and I explained why he wants peace and why he was not planning to invade Ukraine, as so many in the Western press were saying he was going to do. So many like Jake Sullivan said that it was imminent, and Ned Price says it was without a doubt a certainty. I made the case here that no, Putin is not going to invade Ukraine, and if you didn't believe me, that's why I played this clip to show you.
So, folks. So, obviously, I mean, I've been shitting on Jackson Hinkle for a while now, and I'm going on the victory lap here. Jackson Hinkle he's an RT contributor. This guy is literally being paid by Russia to propagandize people in favor of Vladimir Putin. This is the same guy, again, he used to have anti-imperialist and communist in his Twitter bio. After we debated in November, I believe, he removed anti-imperialist and communist from his Twitter bio. And again, so it's very interesting. The guy who branded himself as a super hardcore anti-imperialist, I hate war, I hate imperial powers, now sucking up to Russia as they're enacting an imperialistic invasion of another country. And again, nothing that Russia is doing automatically makes the U.S.'s invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan good, right? The U.S.'s involvement in, Southern American coups and so forth, that is unacceptable as well. But people feel like because the United States is a shithole fucking country, that means Russia has to be good. What? What? At this point, you're just picking a fucking team, right? Like you're just picking a fucking team. I want to hitch my wagon to fucking Putin's little fucking stupid cringe superpower. You're not anti-imperialist. You're just a cheerleader, and it's fucking cringe. Okay? Like, yes, the United States is shit. No one is going to disagree with you on, well, maybe Joe Biden will disagree with you on that. But that has nothing to do with the fact that Russia is fucking invading Ukraine. These people are fucking charlatans, and I hope to God that people stop taking them fucking seriously. And all I can say is, I told you so. But anyway, once again, I would like to say this.
Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
That's all I got. Folks, so there's a little bit of a saga brewing, and maybe I'm wrong. It's possible that I'm wrong when I say this, but there's potentially been a saga going on recently brewing. Ben Burgess went on the Joe Rogan program. Sometime last week, I guess. We got Black Cherry Polar here accompanying us on this episode. So Ben Burgess went on the Joe Rogan Experience program, said some very interesting things. I did not like them, so I made some criticisms of those appearances on the Joe Rogan show. Now, again, I don't want to come out of here and say that I hate Ben Burgess. I don't like some people in my audience do not like Ben Burgess. I understand that. I liked Ben Burgess for a while, so I want to put myself in a position where I want to try to criticize him, and I hope that he takes the criticism in a good way, and I want him to change his position. I don't want people to have really bad opinions on stuff like this. So yesterday he begun, I guess, what I am interpreting to be another cringe tour, and I say that with all due respect. He went on the This Is Revolution podcast, and he was asked about Andy No. And I've actually got the way that they framed the question here, that I want to play this part first because it's in chronological order. But Ben Burgess's microphone broke, and so, I couldn't put it all in one clip. But he was asked about his opinion on Andy No, and I talked about this yesterday. I talked about what he said about Andy No on the Joe Rogan show, and I thought it was really bad. I thought he was engaging in right-wing propaganda, right-wing talking points. And it's just like, I don't know why. Like, again, you can represent the left and just not talk about Andy No, let alone talk about Andy No positively. Like, there's no reason to engage in this kind of stuff. And the only thing it does is bash the left, and all it does is enable and embolden far-right violence. Because right-wing people, again, I got a lot of, there's a lot of right-wingers that stalk my show, let's be real, and a lot of them commented on the video and were saying that, like, oh, see, even lefties know that Antifa's crazy and should be killed, right? So I'm just saying, right, like, and again, you can say that like, Ben Burgess isn't responsible for that, and whatever. But again, Andy No, you should not be enabling him, you should not be defending him. In my opinion, even if you don't like Antifa, you should just stay out of it. That's my opinion. If you consider yourself a left-winger and you might want to, have the impulse to defend Andy No from Antifa because you don't like Antifa, I recommend not opening your mouth. That's my recommendation. But anyway, he was asked about this on the This Is Revolution podcast, and I want to play this part first because, again, I think the way that the question was framed was really good from the hosts here, and then we're going to get into his answer, and then the saga continues. So let me, we'll go into that.
Not everybody can be aware of everything going on, and I think that's kind of why I brought up earlier of, like, how is there some type of accountability between, like, we don't have a huge left organizing anything, but at the end of the day, there still are people doing the work on the ground, and I guess, like, how do we, like, the talking heads in camera, make sure that we're not discrediting, some of the things that was happening, because in my opinion, I think, like, Andy No got everything he deserved. And the danger he posed to other people, like, is, he fucked around and found out.
So I just want to say I agree with Marcus on this one. Fuck Andy No. All my homies hate Andy No. But The response here from Ben Burgess, a classic.
Very emotionally satisfying thing to say. I don't think it really makes sense. I think.
Okay,
Can you hear us?
So his microphone breaks. I don't know what happened. It sounded like it just started melting live on stream. But so the only words that were discernible here was that it's an emotionally satisfying thing to say, but it doesn't make sense. Now I will respond to that with saying both it is emotionally satisfying and it does make sense. But I'll get into that a little bit later after having microphone troubles. His answer here is about the 2-minute clip, and I want to get into it because he goes into quite a few different things that I feel like are very worth disseminating here.
So before Deep State Rogan got me, I was going to say. So I'd really recommend. So okay, well, 2 things. One, so you could read it in my the Antifa, the Pathologist Powerlessness chapter in my book that we were talking about in the interview, where I go into a lot of these details about the doxing claims and stuff like that. I'd also really recommend an article that Nathan Robinson wrote at the time for Current Affairs called Discipline Strategy. And
so okay. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I'm just gonna pick apart this a little bit because. I think it's funny, and I'm just going to comment on it. I love how the first 30 seconds of his answer is like promoting articles and a book he wrote. I'm just saying, I just think that's I think that's a little funny, a little comical, so I'm just pointing it out. In my opinion, I feel like Ben Burgess is taking an IDW turn. That's my position. That's what I want. I don't necessarily think that makes him a bad person. I want to believe that Ben Burgess is genuinely ignorant. That's what I want to believe, and so that's that universe that I'm living in currently. He is making that a little bit difficult, but again, he did come on my show to discuss his opinions on January 6th. So if I can get him on the show again, or at least get someone else to give him more pushback, that's beneficial because I think that this is bad for the left. But anyway, so again, now after that he's promoted his book and Nathan Robinson's articles,
morality, but aside from some of the weeds questions, I don't think that the people who beat up Andy represent a sort of movement on the ground that we want to be backing, repping, or not undermining. I think they represent the absolutely worst of LARPing middle class self-indulgence. And
so I'm going to pause it here because this is my first problem. My first problem with this, and again, when he was on the Joe Rogan show, he was talking about anti-fascism in general. He was talking about Antifa in general. He was talking about street movements and how useless they are. And so in this specific instance, he does specify that he's referring to the people that, were in the area with Andy Ngo whenever he was allegedly assaulted. And so a way that he could get out of this is by saying I wasn't talking about all anti-fascists, I was talking about just those people. That's fine, but I've also heard Ben Burgess talk about anti-fascists with this kind of same way of talking down to them before, and that's my problem. The way that he describes anti-fascists as being LARPy middle-class self-indulgence. Now, first of all, let's go with a LARPy. I mean, okay, LARPy, they are literally live, in action. Are they role-playing? I mean, not necessarily, because people are getting killed. Again, one of the things I want to talk about, and I mentioned this in my critique of his appearance on Joe Rogan, is that just this last weekend, a Portland mass shooter killed one person, a 60-year-old woman, and injured 4 others. And they were inspired by Andy Ngo to hate the left and hate Antifa. And so, again, I want to talk about the climate of context here. So let's assume, Ben Burgess doesn't hate Antifa. He's just talking about these people that hit Andy Ngo and made him cry like a little baby. Okay, let's assume that. Again, we are now in this area, this climate, where just a couple of days before that, on his Joe Rogan show, Andy Ngo inspired another mass shooter, right? So it's just why are you taking Andy Ngo's side on anything at this moment in history? It's weird. And second of all, again, the way Andy Ngo operates is he pretends that all anti-fascists are evil thugs, that they're constantly roaming the streets trying to beat people down, right? He takes a small example of things getting violent. Most of the time, and I have experience with this, because I have been targeted by this guy. Last year, when I was filming and documenting protests in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, Andy No and his cringe crew downloaded and edited my clips out of context to make it look like Antifa was attacking people in their homes, when in reality, that never happened. It was just like someone coming out of their house and yelling at someone and people just kind of yelling at them back and walking away. But he like clipped like 3 seconds out of it and said Antifa's raiding people's houses, right? And again, I got thousands and thousands of people doxing me, harassing me, and like trying to like, you know, threaten me with death threats online, saying that I was attacking people's houses. First of all, I wasn't even involved, right? But again, this is how these things happen. So Andy No spreads these lies, spreads this violent rhetoric, and and again, just a week ago, he inspired someone to kill a person and shoot 4 others. So again, my problem with this is Ben Burgess is playing into that narrative. He's playing into the narrative that, oh, the people attack Andy No or Antifa, and Antifa's violent thugs, and they're killing Americans, and they're raiding their houses. And this is such an inappropriate context. And the reason why I am so offended to this, about this, is because, again, I have been the victim of violence, death threats, and harassment, and doxing, and stalking from Andy No, from his people, right? And again, so I know the exact way that all of this functions. I know how this affects people on the ground. I know how this affects people online. Ben Burgess, I guarantee you, has never been personally affected by Andy No. I would be shocked if Ben Burgess has ever been to a violent protest with riot cops. Now, again, if he has, I would love to talk about that, because I would love to have that conversation. But again, I have run away from riot cops. I have been involved in areas where tear gas has been used, right? I've been into these kind of protest scenarios multiple times in multiple different cities. And so I know the way that these things work a lot better than Ben Burgess. And so again, you can even make the claim that sometimes when Antifa gets violent, it's bad and they fuck up. I agree. Sometimes, you know, I'm not going to say that every anti-fascist is great no matter what. Sometimes people fuck around, they get too in the moment, they end up making a mistake. That has no bearing on the thousands and the thousands and the thousands and the thousands and thousands of anti-fascist activists that don't do that don't make mistakes. And again, one of the most important things to understand about anti-fascism is most of the time when these activists are doing things outside of protesting, what they're doing is they're doing mutual aid work, community organizing. They are, you know, ensuring people are safe, people have access to food, shelter, and so forth. Most of the time, anti-fascists are not just like walking around patrolling the neighborhoods in Black Bloc. When there's not like heavy protest activity, when there's not heavy right-wing presence, most anti-fascist activists are working at soup kitchens, you know, trying to help people. Most anti-fascists are also not middle class. Most anti-fascists are poor. A lot of anti-fascists, especially in major cities like Portland, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, are homeless, right? So to pretend like these people are like these uppity rich kids who like are trust fund babies, but they're just pretending to, like, it's just so obnoxious, and it plays into these right-wing narratives, and it's just wrong. It's wrong. And again, let's just assume you don't like Antifa for whatever reason. If you consider yourself a leftist, the best thing you should do is just stay out of it, not project your opinion in there, especially the week of a deadly mass shooting from someone that Andy No inspired personally. So again, I just want to stop it there for a second, and now let's keep going.
And the kind of thing that actively interferes with the possibility of a meaningful working class organization. I think that what I said about Andy No in the book, and again when the subject came up with Rogan, is I said I didn't like him. I said I think he's I don't think he's an honest journalist, and that I thoroughly... Again,
one of the problems with this is Ben Burgess is pretending that Andy No is a journalist, dishonest or honest, right? This is not like, you know, like that guy in the White House press briefings from Fox News who always like tries to make these fun Saki bomb moments, okay? Andy No works with neo-Nazi organizations. He has provided kill lists to groups such as Atomwaffen. Atomwaffen I have personal experience with because they swatted me and almost killed me. So I'm very, very familiar with these kinds of people. And, you know, again, has been involved with the Proud Boys, Patriot Fund, Patriot Prayer. He has given money and resources to Proud Boys, given names, doxes. He posts people's public information online all the time. This is not a journalist that has a bad opinion. This isn't like someone who's got like a bad take on a YouTube comment section. This is someone who works works with neo-Nazi paramilitary forces in the United States and has, again, inspired people to get shot, including a week ago. Like, this is not like ancient history. This happened last weekend. Someone in Portland was inspired by Andy Ngo, followed these people to know where they were from Andy Ngo's Twitter posts, and then killed someone and shot 4 other people. Again, this is a very big problem, and to just present it as if it doesn't matter, and if it's like to present Antifa as the enemy here is just, it's grotesque. And so
I disagree with his worldview, but I also think it's incredibly dangerous and stupid for anybody on the left to say it's fine to vigilantes to beat up writers if we've decided that they're a dangerous propagandist.
So normally I would agree with Ben Burgess. I wouldn't say attack writers if they write something stupid. But the thing is, this doesn't apply to Andy Ngo. Andy Ngo is not a writer. He's not a journalist. Again, he is a serial doxer, and what his role is to basically spy on anti-fascists, dox them, harass them, and send right-wing paramilitary forces to kill them. And again, it just happened a week ago. This is not something this is not like ancient history. This is not something that happened a long time ago. This is not something that's uncommon. It just happened a week ago. So again, if this guy is just like someone who had a bad take on Twitter, right? Like, yeah, sure, don't beat them up. Why would you, right? Don't waste your time. But luckily, Andy Ngo is not that person. And so this just, again, shows that Ben Burgess is not educated on what's going on. He doesn't know anyone who's been affected by Andy Ngo or his serial harassment campaigns. He is just not familiar. And so that's why I want to push him. I want him to watch this. I want him to see my criticism in this Twitter thread, and we'll get to that later, because I think he's genuinely just severely ignorant, and his set of facts that he's basing his version of the universe on is wrong, and it's severely distorted by right-wing people. But let's keep going.
You're not a real journalist. That's setting the kind of precedent that is not going to go well for us.
So again, the precedent argument. Now, so you're saying right-wingers should be allowed to kill anyone. That's not setting any precedents. That's fine, right? I mean, I guess I'm assuming Ben Burgess would say that's not fine, right? But he's like again, anti-fascism is defensive in nature, right? Anti-fascists are not getting guns and going to right-wingers' houses and shooting them in the head. Right-wingers have done that to left-wingers. The police have done that to left-wingers, but left-wingers have never done that to anyone else, right? So again, to pretend like someone hitting someone in a street fight in a defensive nature is setting a precedent that's going to allow right wingers to like if the left winger didn't punch Richard Spencer, then no one in the right wing would ever shoot anyone else with a gun. Like, again, that's not how the real world works. Right wingers have killed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people over the last several years in this country, and if you count police in that, the statistic grows even more. Again, so this isn't like, I just don't understand the idea that you can act in self-defense, because if you do, then it could be misconstrued and could set a precedent. This isn't like a law scenario. We're not like legal scholars, right? The right wing has been killing people and trying to exterminate people for decades, and the violence is reaching a boiling point. So nothing a left winger does is going to like move the Overton window to now the right wingers will bring grenades to like I don't understand this argument. It makes no sense. But again, Ben Burgess doesn't go to protests. He doesn't go to on the ground demonstrations. He doesn't know people that have been affected by this, and that's why he has these frankly out of touch opinions.
I think to put it mildly. So I would very much, I think that's setting a precedent that's like frankly suicidal if you take seriously the idea that we could grow in importance and have any kind of influence in the world.
He claimed, again, defending yourself from right-wing violence is suicidal. If you're suicidal, you would just let the right-wingers kill you, right? Like, I mean, again, but I really think Ben Burgess is just severely uneducated on actual activist street movements that aren't related to electoral politics. Like, I get it. You could say electoral politics or union organizing is more important than street activism and protesting and community defense and mutual aid. You can have that opinion, but why go out of your way to harass these people? It's very, very strange.
It would only fail to be so if you think that we're never going to be important enough to bother repressing.
I mean, my position on violence is that
So right here, the hosts just say like they agree with self-defense, and the other host previously said that they view this as a self-defense scenario because they just know the facts of the situation. And then they end the show. I wish they would have given them more pushback, but I understand that they were hitting a time issue here. I personally would have wished that they would have brought this up earlier before they hit the end of the time, but whatever, that's fine. I'm not here to shit on This Is Revolution. I've enjoyed some of their other shows, so I'm not here to, I want to say that, as far as I'm concerned, I've seen a couple of their shows. They do a good job, and I'm glad that they asked this question because it allowed me to know more about what Ben Burgess is thinking here. And so I wrote a Twitter thread about this, saying, once again, anti-fascist activists are one of the most important groups of people on the ground. They provide crucial research into right-wing activities and plans to keep people safe. One of the things that's very important about what Antifa does, anti-fascist researchers know where right-wingers are going to go, and they can, go to those areas and tell, let's say, people that are homeless and in the area to get the fuck out, because oftentimes you'll see right-wingers go to these places and they have beaten, Proud Boys are on tape beating the shit out of homeless people in New York City several times. They've done so in Washington. They've done so in other cities in the Pacific Northwest, right? So that's just one example. But again, knowing where these people are going is extremely, extremely important. They organize medics and equipment to people on the ground who need them, especially during protests or when right-wing freaks storm random cities and engage in violence with other people. We saw this in 2020. As well is that there were medics, like the one example that I saw that was very emblematic of this was in Washington. I believe it was in Seattle. Police shot a tear gas grenade at someone's chest and killed them. Their heart stopped. It stopped their heart. They were dead. So the police killed someone with a tear gas canister, and a street medic, an anti-fascist street medic, got them and performed medical activities on them, as CPR or whatever, and brought them back to life, resuscitated them. Without those medics, without the anti-fascist research and training and community organizing, that person would have been killed by police. So again, that's just one example. This happens all the time, especially happened many, many times throughout the 2020 uprising. And so it's extremely important to understand that anti-fascists are an extremely, if you are going outside to engage in a political action, anti-fascists are your friends, unless you're a Nazi. Let's just be honest here. Let's just be real. 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, 9,909, whatever. Anti-fascists are going to be your friends, unless you're a Nazi. If you're a Nazi, then, okay, of course you'd be against anti-fascists. But if you're not a Nazi, I have no reason why you'd be, I have no idea why you'd be engaging in this kind of stuff. Anti-fascists being smeared because Ben doesn't like a few people acting in self-defense from someone who literally works with neo-Nazi organizations is profoundly offensive to actual on-the-ground activists and researchers and medics and many more. I find it silly that people who don't or won't engage in real-world activism feel that they can or should talk down to people who risk their lives and die for the values of leftism. That's the other thing as well. I don't understand why Ben Burgess is here to play Monday morning quarterback or something about a fight that he is not involved in. If he wants to be a fight for in the electoral left and the union organizing, and that's great, just don't comment on left-wing street activism. There's no reason for you to disparage left-wing activists in other sectors. There's no reason to do so. It's a pointless activity to engage in, and it makes you look out of touch, right? So, and that's why I think, has Ben Burgess ever been involved in activists like this, in activism like this? I don't know. If he's purely just a writer, a philosopher, and wants to write books and support people on his show that engage in union or electoral, that's fine. That's great for that field, sure. But has he ever ran from riot police? Has he ever been involved in where tear gas has been used? Has he ever been punched by a fascist? Has he ever been in these areas where he see where people's teeth are being knocked down in front of them? Because I have, and it's fucking horrifying to see these people that do this kind of stuff, right? And so that's why I think he's just so out of touch. It's ridiculous. I know I'm talking really fast. I got a lot of coffee here going on, and I'm just on a roll. Yes, by the way, someone commented on this earlier. Yes, this is an elephant, yes, that's my second elephant of coffee. And I reiterate here that Andy No killed someone last weekend. And so Ben Burgess saw this thread, and he replied to a reply. And so, and I replied to him. So we actually we've made contact, folks. This is the little ending section here. We've made contact. Contact has been established. So, okay. Ben Burgess replied to someone who replied to someone. I don't know. So there's so many layers here. But anyway, So I made this thread 14 hours ago. Ben Burgess, at some point, you know, I saw this when I woke up. At some point in between me going to sleep and me waking up, Ben Burgess followed me. So hello, Ben Burgess. Thank you for the follow. You know, I would be happy if you weren't, you know, trashing Antifa and defending about that. But so he followed me. He didn't reply to me. I didn't get any messages or anything. And then he replied to someone who replied, like, so some other people were having like a conversation. So by this, I can guarantee you that Ben Burgess read everything. But so he's talking to other people, talking about other. So he replies to some like really it's just weird. Like, so he's clearly reading every reply, and he decides to chime in here. My primary critique of anti-fascists is that their use of political vigilantism is indefensible. I don't like, again, the term political vigilantism, like as if like Antifa is like rolling around like bounty hunters and like gunning people down in their living room or something. That's not happening, right? This is all stuff like this happening mostly in like 99.999% of the time in self-defense, in the moment, in street protest, and left-wingers don't kill anyone, but right-wingers kill everyone, right? When's the last time Antifa has killed someone? I'm waiting, right? Though you could give me 17,000 examples of right-wingers killing people just in the last, like, just this year alone. And it's only, like, it's about to be March, right? So that's weird. Like, it's not like he's both sidesing something that's not a both sides scenario. I argued in the book of a version of Antifa that didn't do that might serve a useful role. And again, so that's just strange. And I don't think I've ever said more than a few words about the 1/6 rioters without calling them disgusting and horrifying. That's fair. That's fair. I just don't think anyone who thinks that realistically threatened the normal... Okay, so he's talking about 1/6 there. Really strange. But anyway, so I replied to this. And again, I just want to formally invite Ben Burgess on the show, and I want people to tell him that I've invited him on the show. One, don't judge all anti-fascists by the actions of a few. You could think some people go way too far. They do sometimes without painting a broad brush. That's something very important. You can say, oh, someone in this instance made a tactical mistake. They had the wrong person. They didn't know what they were doing. They got a little, like, that's fine. Very rarely, but sometimes, yes, anti-fascists will fuck up. Everyone fucks up. Everyone makes mistakes, right? There's no reason to disparage Antifa or anti-fascism in general, or saying all non-union or non-electoral street movements are bad. And that's the kind of vibe that Ben Burgess gives off. So he's painting with a broad brush based on the actions of a few. And it's strange. Most of the time, this political vigilantism is defensive and then videoed out of context by bad actors, such as Andy No. Downplaying No's involvement in neo-Nazi groups is dangerous no matter what. Now, again, it's possible Ben Burgess just doesn't know that Andy No isn't related to the... So I hope that I'm giving him information here, and I hope he changes his opinion. You could definitely benefit from talking to more on-the-ground activists. So that's what I said, and Ben Burgess has yet to reply to me. Again, I don't like this heel turn, in my opinion. I view this as an IDW-adjacent heel turn. He's going the way of Sam Harris. He's going the way of, other people in that variety, and I don't like it. And so I'm here to criticize that. And again, if Ben Burgess wants to come on the show and we can agree to disagree, that's fine. But he's getting a couple of things just factually wrong, and I hope that if the facts are cleared up on the matter, that he would change his opinion. And that's why I want to push him in that direction. But either way, he is very, 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 very wrong here. I want to point it out. So. But feel free to encourage Ben Burgess to come on the show, or vice versa. Feel free to do so on Twitter, and do so in a way that makes it more likely to happen, right? So I disagree, Catherine. I do not think Ben Burgess is full fascist. I personally think he's extremely stupid on this particular subject, and that he has this like weird main character syndrome where like he feels like he needs nuance in everything, even though there's no nuance here. I don't think he's as bad as Nick Fuentes or something. Debbie Kim, no, Burgess is doubling down. He could have walked back his Rogan comments. That's the thing. That's what's so bizarre to me, is that he's There's no reason. There's no reason to even comment on Andy No at all. Like, why would you? I just, like, as a left, like, there's, like, sometimes I disagree with things left-wingers do. A lot of the time. Like, I've been involved in a lot of organizations. I've been involved in a lot of protests where I disagreed heavily with other people's tactics. But, like, you know, if you're criticizing your own side, doing so publicly, why, like, the only reason to do so publicly, is to, like, position yourself. You know, like a lot of these things should be, like, if you disagree with certain tactics, you should be telling those people privately. Making, like a public, oh, I need to have a nuanced position in public. I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to report on my own side's failures all the time and blow them out of proportion if they can be solved privately. So that's another thing that I think in general. What is more important is to put Ukrainian flag near your account name in solidarity with Ukrainian people. I did that on Twitter, yeah. Trying my best. Cornel West thanked Antifa for saving his and other protesters' lives at Charlottesville. That's correct. Hello, Marek. I mean, people are debating whether or not Putin is Hitler. Personally, I think Putin has Hitler-esque aspirations, and that's no good. He also has the nuclear button, and that's also no good. So that is my opinion on Hitler and Putin as of this moment. What the fuck does political vigilantism even mean? I don't know. It's like that's like an author thing. People love to, like, make up these terms to, like, coin a term. You know, like, so in Ben Burgess's mind, he's like, oh, I want to invent a thing, and then, like, it's just vague. Like it doesn't mean anything, and it also isn't really applicable. It's just, like, a way to, like, obscure kind of what we're talking about. But that's a thing that, like, that authors, podcasters, and stuff do a lot. I do that a lot. Like, I mean, for sure. Like, I love, like, making up isms and stuff like that. It's great. You know, it feels good. That's because the United States is garbage, and people are afraid. Bodan, people are afraid to fucking throw Trump through the ringer. Especially with this, like, the latest thing going on with the Manhattan DA's office. Ugh. He isn't a fascist, he just doesn't care, which makes him on the same side. I agree with that paradigm. I agree with those who are on the fence in, like, fascism versus anti-fascism are enabling the one that has the most institutional support, and in this case, that's fascism. I know, Catherine, I know. Got a show going on, folks. Doing a show today. Got a show going. The show is on. Oh. All right, folks. Let me. So, okay, there's a lot going on here. So, in regards to the to Russians offensive and illegal invasion of a sovereign nation known as Ukraine. Belarus, which has enabled this occupation and invasion, is announcing a referendum to renounce non-nuclear status, and this is coming out right before Vladimir Putin, the biggest bitch in the world, said that he is scrambling his own nuclear units. So there's a lot going on here, and in response to this, there have been significant protests starting in Belarus cities across the country. But I want to read this real quick, too. Belarus held a referendum on Sunday to adopt a new constitution that would ditch its non-nuclear status at a time when the country has become a launchpad for Russian troops invading Ukraine and marching on Kyiv. The vote, almost certain to pass under the tightly controlled rule of President Alexander Lukashenko, could see nuclear weapons on Belarusian soil for the first time since the country gave them up after the fall of the Soviet Union. And again, so Putin announces that he's scrambling his own nuclear units. Also, Belarus says that, okay, we're now allowing nuclear weapons in our land. That's weird. Also, again, Belarus is situated on the border of Ukraine to the north, and it's in a potentially, pretty bad range of Kyiv as well. If you're going to be, launching nuclear weapons and stuff, they're trying to assault them from all sides and threaten nuclear weapons, and it's not good. But again, so we are seeing pretty good protests. There's some other stuff going on. And as well, I want to play this clip here from the opposition leader. And again, for those of you that don't know, I am not too educated on this myself. And I would welcome resources if people want to give them to me. But in 2020, I believe there was a gigantic constitutional crisis and where there was a very close election. And the leader of Belarus, Lukashenko, basically, put down protests all across the nation with extreme violence. And, a lot of people were killed in Belarus by the police force. And he kind of, it seems, installed himself as a dictator. But this is the opposition leader who, put out a statement in regards to the news that Belarus was going to be cooperating in regards to nuclear weapons with Russia. And so I want to play this.
On behalf of Belarusians and Belarus, I want to emphasize that we support and stand in solidarity with the people and government of Ukraine. The future of Europe is being decided right now. Ukraine has been under an unprovoked brutal attack from Russia since Thursday. We didn't stop the regime from providing Russia with infrastructure and land for the invasion. Belarus became an aggressor, and we are ashamed of this. Because we didn't choose to be aggressors, not this time, not ever in our history. I call on the international community to help Ukraine defend itself and support Belarusians. There cannot be narratives that Belarus has lost its independence. It's not. All these days, I have been in touch with Belarusians, stressing clearly, we need to protect our sovereignty. We need to stop this war. I also addressed the Belarusian army and military officials. They have the right not to follow Lukashenko's orders. He made Belarus a full-fledged participant in the invasion and thus committed high treason. So I announced that I'm taking on the responsibility as the national leader of Belarus and will create a transitional cabinet. My goal is to protect the sovereignty and independence of our country and to represent our state in security negotiations and crisis management in the region. And our joint aim is to stop the war and the humanitarian catastrophe in Ukraine, Belarus, and all of Europe.
So again, after making this announcement as well, she went to, promote protests going on throughout Belarus. Now, again, folks, there was a constitutional crisis in 2020 over the election. A lot of people claim that this woman won the election. And I am going to go ahead and say that given what I saw in Belarus from Lukashenko's paramilitary police forces after they disappeared and murdered civilians protesting this election, again, I am not severely, I would like more education on that, and I'll probably do my own research over the next few days as well. But again, Belarus as well, under Lukashenko's regime, has participated and enabled Vladimir Putin's illegal and offensive war and invasion of Ukraine. And so, this woman here, I'm sorry, like Svetlana is, I'm on too many drugs to pronounce her last name. I'm sorry, I apologize. But again, so real quick, just to go into this. So Lukashenko announced that he's going to reform the constitution, which he can just do, to revoke non-nuclear status. So what that means is non-nuclear status means there are no nuclear weapons allowed at all within the borders of Belarus. So revoking that would mean nuclear weapons are now allowed within the borders of Belarus. And guess who has one of the largest supplies of nuclear weapons in the whole world? Russia, which is right next to Belarus, which is also situated in a really good spot to potentially strike on the capital city of Ukraine, right? So again, what this is implying, and again, Vladimir Putin, on the same day that this came out as well, announced that he is scrambling on putting on high alert his nuclear forces. So that seems to be that he's moving nuclear weapons into Belarus. And so I just want to say that I support the protesters here. There's some other footage that you can find online, but this is the one I've got here at the moment, that are protesting in solidarity with Ukraine all across Belarus as well. And so again, things are getting a little dicey, and it is no good. And there you go. Yeah, I mean, the nukes are probably already being moved, and as soon as it gets official, they'll go across the border. Or they're just going to move them into Belarus anyway, and then just, cook the books. So it says at, 12:01 p.m. they went, or, whatever. They're just going to cook the books. Leave the number, or leave the time blank, and then whenever the constitutional referendum is passed, just put that time in, plus 1 second. And that's when the nukes came in. How did they get on the other side of Belarus so fast? Well, I don't know. We got we got premium gas, so we drove really quick. I don't know. But, yeah, it's, no good at all. No good at all. No good at all. So, let's try to end today's show on a fun note. So, CPAC is going on. Donald Trump made a speech. Aaron Ruper, who apparently is employed to make these kinds of video threads, made a video thread with some fun highlights, and I want to go into these just because some of them are pretty interesting. So, here's a really funny one. Let's just go into it.
We love Ronnie.
I just want to say, so I don't know much about this Ronnie Jackson fella, but this is just a really funny clip. So he's, in the crowd going like this, and everyone's cheering, and then but listen to this story.
We love Ronnie. He said President Trump is the healthiest president in history. If he didn't eat junk food, he'd live for 200 years. That got us into a lot of trouble, right, Ronnie? That statement got us into trouble, but that's okay. We all love you, Ronnie. Thank you. Great job.
I can't with this shit, man. I can't. Okay. But there's more. So he brings up Zelensky going on about his impeachment, lying about it. I just want to remind everyone that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. He lost. Joe Biden won the 2020 election. That's why Joe Biden is in the Oval Office. Donald Trump is a loser and a liar. But he goes into his first impeachment when he got impeached for a, quote, perfect phone call with Volodymyr Zelensky. And let's go on.
Like Adam Shifty Schiff. Where do you meet people like this? He actually made up a story about my phone call with the president of Ukraine, who, by the way, is a brave man. He's hanging in. He's a brave man. like him because, you know, during that ridiculous impeachment waste of time, and the Republicans stood by us, we were 196-0. When did you ever hear Republicans do that? But this was truly a scam. But the president of Ukraine said he did nothing wrong. He could have said he did something, or he thought, well, I wasn't appropriate, you know, all the crap you have to listen to.
I just want to say, Donald Trump's like this is a stand-up. He does, like, he makes his speeches fucking stand-up. Like, it's just like when he does the impressions, I'm into it. But again, just relitigating. Of course, everything's got to be about Donald Trump. You know, Zelensky is literally like you know, standing up for his country, and is trying to avoid international assassins, right? And his country is being invaded by Russia, one of the superpowers of the world. And how are we going to discuss this major topic? Well, I'm going to talk about my impeachment hoax. Right?
Well, I wasn't appropriate, you know, all the crap you have to listen to, right? He said he did absolutely I called him up to congratulate him on his victory. He said he did nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong. I'm glad that tape was going. Those transcribers were writing during that call, because otherwise it could have been. But this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with some people that are truly evil, truly bad people.
So again, Russia has invaded Ukraine. Zelensky is probably going to be killed at some point in the next month, right? If Putin has a say about it. And Donald Trump is trying to toe a line. Donald Trump, immediately upon reading the news of Putin's invasion of Ukraine, praised Putin, called him very smart, very savvy, very smart. But he also said that it wouldn't have happened under him. Now, I can presume that that would have been because Trump has, one of his projects was destabilizing NATO. And, you know, he probably wouldn't have even, you know, like the whole response from the West, NATO, and the whole world to Russia on this probably would have been different, though. I do think Ukraine would have still put up a fight, and I do think Russia would still have invaded. But again, he's trying to make every possible positive spin about himself, even though they directly contradict each other. But let's keep going.
American history, and put them together.
This one I don't care about. Yeah, I don't care about these. Okay.
Ukraine is appalling. It's an outrage and an atrocity that should never have been allowed to occur. It never would have occurred. We are praying for the proud people of Ukraine. God bless them all. God bless them all.
Now, notice that not everyone in the crowd is excited for that. I wonder why. Now, again, he's posturing. He's trying to be pro-Putin and pro-Zelensky at the same time. Like, he's going on one show talking about how Putin's very smart, very smart. He loves Putin. He's a great man. And then he's talking about how Zelensky's also really cool. Huh? Like, but, you know, it doesn't need to make sense, right? Because the people that follow him are dumb enough to buy whatever version that makes the most sense to them. Look at that guy. He's like,
thank you. They are indeed brave. As everyone understands, this horrific disaster would never have happened if our election was not rigged and if I was the president. Very simple. It wouldn't have happened.
Again, Donald Trump lost the
Under
2020
Bush,
election.
Russia invaded Georgia. Under Obama, Russia took Crimea. Under Biden, Russia invaded Ukraine. I stand as the only president of the 21st century on whose watch Russia did not invade another country.
Again, Donald Trump was assisting Putin a lot during his time in the White House. Let's be honest. Let's be real. Let's be honest. And when Putin invades right after Trump leaves office, Putin was probably hoping that Trump would win a second term and that Trump would destabilize NATO so that there would be no response. Whoops, that didn't end up happening, but he planned on invading anyway, right? So again, there's no reason at all to believe that, Putin wouldn't have invaded if Trump had won a second term in office. But guess what? Trump didn't win a second term in office. He lost. He lost the 2020 election. Joe Biden won. Let's keep going.
Asked me if I thought Yesterday, reporters asked me if I thought President Putin was smart. I said, of course he's smart, to which I was greeted with, oh, that's such a terrible thing to say. I'd like to tell the truth. Yes, he's smart. The NATO nations, and indeed the world, as he looks over what's happening strategically with no repercussions or threats whatsoever, they're not so smart. They're looking the opposite of smart. If you take over Ukraine, we're going to sanction you, they say. Sanction? Well, that's a pretty weak statement.
So is Trump saying the U.S. should go to war with Russia? Okay, so Putin's smart, right? I love Zelensky, right? Sanctions are not good, so we should do what? And what is he advocating for?
Putin is saying, oh, they're going to sanction me. They sanctioned me for the last 25 years. You mean I can take over a whole country and they're going to sanction me?
Now he's doing another fucking stand-up bit.
Sanction me? You mean they're not going to blow us to pieces, at least psychologically? The problem is not that Putin is smart, which of course he's smart, but the real problem is that our leaders are dumb. Dumb. So dumb.
That's gonna be a sound drop, I can tell you. So again, let's keep going on this.
But with respect to what's going on now, it would have been so easy for me to stop this travesty from happening. He understood me, and he understood that I didn't play games. This would not have happened. Someday I'll tell you exactly what we talked about. But we talked about it, and he did.
Okay, so what he's saying here, someday I'll tell you what we talked about, comma, but we talked about it. Talked about what? Him invading Ukraine?
What we talked about. But we talked about it. And he did have an affinity, there's no question about it, for Ukraine.
So you talked about his affinity for Ukraine, told the translator to destroy all the notes and to get the fuck out of the rooms, had a secret meeting with Putin, talking about his affinity for Ukraine. What?
I said, never let it happen. You better not let it happen. This is the only attack.
That's the other thing. Okay, so Trump says, don't let it happen. Let it happen. As if it's like a fucking tsunami or something, and we have a giant shield, and it's just all you have to do is press the shield, and then the tsunami doesn't happen. It's a weather event. Don't let it happen. No, don't let it happen. I know you want it to happen, but don't let it happen. What do you mean? Let it happen? Again, this is implying that Putin has had an affinity for Ukraine for a long time. Again, Putin wants to resurrect the Russian Empire. He wants to say, fuck all that workers bullshit that was going on in the 20th century. We're gonna wind the clock back to the fucking 19th century up in this bitch. He wants to be the next emperor. He wants to be the next czar. He's going for an empire. And that's what Donald Trump is accidentally kind of saying here. I mean, is it an accident?
Back in history where the further he goes and the bigger it gets and the worse it gets and the more death that's caused, the more.
So anyway, I don't know what he's trying to straddle a line here that's really weird. Doesn't really make sense, but you know. I mean, you have to think about it this way though. Zelensky has pretty much become everything Trump and Putin have tried to pretend to be in this moment. A week ago, not many people knew who Zelensky was. And now, pretty much the entire international community recognizes this guy's a badass motherfucker. And, he is, the example of, the tough male leader that Trump and Putin so desperately want to be. So that's why I feel like Trump is praising Zelensky. He's going to try to ride that clout if he can. But it doesn't make any sense. It's weird. But, there you go. So that's the show, folks. Thank you all for watching today. I appreciate it. I want to deliver the news, but I don't, I do it in my own way. I hope people are not taken aback too much, but if they are, then that's fine. Check the Discord link. I'll do it later. Yeah, so thank you all for watching. Again, tomorrow I'm going to be doing an extra stream. I'm going to be doing a Doom speedrun commentary broadcast tomorrow at 1 p.m. So in 23.5 hours, I will be doing that. And it should be fun. So, and tomorrow, of course, 10 a.m. doing a show. So there you go. There you go. That's it. That's all I got. I gotta pee, so that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning, and stay safe.
Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ.
The reason the market is doing what it's doing is people are sitting at home getting the checks from the government, okay? And this fair share is a bullshit concept. It's just a way of attacking wealthy people, just a way of attacking wealthy people, just a way of attacking wealthy people.
8 months after his alleged meeting with the Burmese executives, so this Burmese, they say, pronounce it Burmese, a real beautiful company.
Sam, if I could just get this sentence out. We can talk about Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow, and I still believe in force the vote.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
And then they have cans of soup. And they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick, it's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? And then when they get caught, they say, no, this is soup from my family. They're so innocent. This is soup from my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup, and they lay it on the ground, and the anarchists take it and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police. And if it hits you, that's worse than a brick because it's got force. It's the perfect size. It's like made perfect. And when they get caught, they say, no, this is just soup from my family. And then the media says, this is just soup. These people are very, very innocent. They're innocent people.
The world is actually a small piece of the universe, right?